I'm Andy Moran, and I have with me today the one and only Lei Deng, a financial planner here at Core Planning. Welcome, Lei. So to kick us off here, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what your journey into financial planning in here has been like.
Yeah, well, thank you. So my name is Lei Deng, and I have to preface if you hear me cough or sneeze or something. I'm a little under the weather right now, and that's a good segue that I, as a mom of two young kids, that's just life. I feel like I've turned at the turn of the year. I just got over a round of being sick, and then like here we are. It's already starting. Yeah, so sorry, you were saying yeah, I'm a financial planner at Core Planning. I've joined Core Planning back in 2021. Like a lot of people after 2020, after the pandemic, did a lot of soul searching and then just decided, I want to be doing a job that directly serves clients instead
Mhm,
of kind of behind the scenes, because I
mhm,
really have no idea of what the impact was, which was a very challenging job. But it was not something that I just don't see the impact on clients directly as much.
mhm.
Driver of making the move. And yeah, so I joined in 2021. Before that, I was an investment analyst. Actually, that's where I got my CFA. Doing a lot of different things. I actually started out school with very technical roles, and as like life goes on, it got less and less technical. My first job out of school was quantitative analyst, and then I was doing due diligence, which is slightly less quote unquote technical or like coding heavy and all of that. And now being a financial planner, which is even more far removed from that. So yeah, which is really interesting where life takes you. But yeah.
I can definitely relate to that kind of moving from engineering
I
into kind of
know.
the financial plan. I love the helping people one on one. That's definitely
Right.
a huge reason I went into this as well. So I totally relate there.
Yeah, absolutely. And my undergrad was in software engineer, so I know we have that
Oh,
in
nice.
common as well, like with some coding background. So
So I guess that ties in then to my next question about like if someone asking you about like what's unique about your background or your practice, kind of what are some things that you might say to them?
yeah, my background, I would say, I talk a lot about emotion, psychology, and all of that in my practice, which is always a shock to people when they learn that I have a very technical background, because
Hmm. Yep.
it would think that I will have, like, why don't you recommend like really esoteric investments because you have a CFA? Why don't you talk about math all the time? And I do, and it's really important part. But I think that's the means to an end instead of the end. So yeah, so people find that pretty surprising about my background. My practice, I think it's pretty unique because my goal is really to empower my clients with confidence in their financial journey, to be able to not just have a good idea of that, like they're confident that they will be able to achieve their financial goals, but also understand the why. So there's a lot of education in the process as well. And so yeah, so I really enjoy kind of explaining a concept and using different sort of trying out different analogies and see what work, what stick with clients, and trying to help them better understand, because I am an immigrant, which is, not a secret. So I came here for grad school at WashU, which is in St. Louis, and that's why I'm here. So I came to pursue higher education, and yeah, so it was. Sorry, where was I? I'm losing my train of thought. So we were talking about right before schooling. We're talking about as an immigrant, so I learned a lot about schools. I learned about the finance and learned a lot about um, like the investment side of money, institutions, investment banks, asset management. And after I graduated, I realized in my whole 20s, I've never had a Roth IRA. I just did not know that was a thing. I didn't have that education, even though I went to school in an advanced degree with an advanced degree in finance. So that really, and then later working in wealth management, understanding all of this stuff, and really kind of hits me that, oh, there are probably a lot of people in my shoes,
Mm-hmm.
that are not giving, that don't have the knowledge, because it's not as obvious, but being somewhere and having generations there is a form of wealth, of
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. So I never had an uncle that saved, for my, like my kids, like 5 to 9. I never had parents that grew up here that knows the understanding, like you need to save in 401k, you need to do stuff like that. None of that was something that someone taught me. I have to learn all of that by myself. And I was talking to another client of mine. She's, a child of immigrant, and we were just talking about how, like, her parents did not have that luxury either. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
she did not know. And a lot of, my clients, they're either child of immigrants that are learning themselves that, oh, this is not something that my parents know. They have great work ethic. They have great, they give them a great platform. They saved, worked really hard to give them a bright future, but that is not something they know, like the financial system, like, dare I say, the overly complicated
Yeah,
system,
absolutely.
yeah, here is not something that they know and was able to navigate themselves. So my practice, my clientele, so fair of many people are with the children of immigrants background or first generation wealth builder background, because that is not something that they had the wealth of already being exposed to. So that makes it fun. Yeah, and then also I serve, my husband is a CPA, and which is funny because he also went to undergrad in a very technical with an operational something financial engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
it's funny how we ended up both on this side of finance. And so yeah, so he actually served a lot of small business owners, and I, by pure coincidence, also serve a fair amount of small business owners, freelancers. That include freelancers. That include sole proprietors. So some people think about small business owner. It's like, oh, I have to have an employee. I
Mm-hmm.
have a product. Not necessarily. So everybody that's self-employed is kind of the term small business owner in my head, in my mind, is everyone that's self-employed, that make a living, that instead of being an employee. So yes, I do serve a ton of people like that, and especially that's another level of complexity that a lot of people that even born here
Mm-hmm.
don't understand. Taxes, the all sorts of the benefits that you don't get from a corporate environment. You and I understand that very well. Your health insurance, if you don't have a spouse that have health insurance, is something you have to do yourself.
Mm-hmm.
um, Retirement plan, you're in charge of finding something that suits you. You're in charge of putting everything in. Taxes, you're in charge of making the quarterly payments. You're in charge of like finding professionals that help you in that regard. So that's another level of complexity of differences that people don't probably don't already know. So yeah, so that's the majority of my clientele, and then also I have quite a few of clients with equity compensation background. I know you do that very well, Andy. So like these are complex stuff, like incentive stock options, with RSUs and stuff like that, which is also complex, and it's hard to understand. So yeah, so that's also another kind of another part of my clients. So yeah.
I love that. I feel you on the, people might expect us to have the, be starting with these very technical topics. And like,
Yeah.
while absolutely there's all these technical topics, right? It's like, at least a lot of us, want to start with like the human centered approach of like, well, what are you trying to do with all these resources? I get that a lot with engineers who are like, it's almost like they feel like, is this like a bait and switch? You trying to do therapy on me? Right. Like, it's like, no, I'm really just trying to, understand your situation. So when we give
Right.
recommendations, it really, aligns with the interests of your life, not just,
Right.
maximizing some
Absolutely.
number on the balance sheet, right?
Yeah, and I love that we all have our own point of views,
Hmm.
so because so for me, I was thinking how, this summer we're taking a trip. We travel a lot, and a lot of sometimes traveling is a necessity if we go back home to visit family and friends. So, and I don't have the luxury of having the holidays and just like drive half an hour to see my parents, drive half an hour to see my sisters, uncles, and aunts, have a big holiday get together. That's not something I have here. Um, and so I need to go home to my family, and then it's a lot to ask them, right, to get a US visa, which is already like hard to,
Yeah.
really hard to do, and buy a ticket just to come see me. So that's something that I have to do by myself, and to go home and see them. So that is part of the money that I spend. If I tell people, they probably think like, oh my gosh, you're overspending on your trips, on your vacations. But I'm like, well, do you know how much money it costs just to buy a round trip ticket from here to Asia? So yeah, so that is something that I know I have to spend more. I'm willing to spend, that is not in a traditional kind of, kind of like, word of wisdom type of way, but I'm okay with it. That's who I am. That's what I need. That's what my kids need. And I'm okay with spending money like that. So like for the clients, everyone has their own desires. So like you said, like it's really about who you are first, um, before we can figure out how to make your life better. We need to understand, what do you even want. So yeah, so that's a really fun and cool part of the learning. I love learning all the stories from the clients, which is learning who they are,
Hmm.
learning what drives them. It's really, yeah, it's really like the most fun part of the job.
I think we share a lot of common, attitudes about how we things that we value with our money, and also kind of what we enjoy about like this profession.
Hmm.
You mentioned kind of the thing about getting your family here. One thing I just learned for myself, was I never knew that like people had visiting the U.S. to get a U.S. visa, you had to pay
Hmm.
money to visit the U.S. I didn't even know that was a thing. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, what other kind of things, I know you mentioned a bit about your ideal clients. Are there kind of any other things that you kind of wish other planners or other people kind of knew about your niche?
Um, Oh, that's a really good question. Why do I wish people knew? I just wish people knew me in general. I think a lot of us solo practitioners, solo planners share the struggle, is that how we know when people come through our door, when they find us, they're happy here. It's just, how do they find us? Where do they find us?
Yeah.
Just putting ourselves out there. And then understandably, people have reservation of financial services industry, and I completely understand that. So when
Hmm.
you have someone that comes in and say, hey, let me help you, and it's really hard to not be guarded at first.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I just hope people know that, we are, our firm is fee only. I'm fee only, and I'm not saying this because I feel like, oh, all raw fee only is superior, but I'm only saying that because I feel like that is my choice of how I think, of more, how to remove myself from potential conflict of interest. It's by all means not the perfect model, but I think out of everything, that aligns with how I think of it the most. I don't get commissions from anyone. I don't get, any kickbacks, and I get purely paid by my clients to make sure. I don't think I will do that if that were not to be the guardrail, but I think it never hurts to have the compensation structure be pure. Um, so yeah, so I'm not even giving me the chance to not serve the clients in their best interest. Yeah, so that's kind of what we are, what I want people to know. So, and also we're our community is a very, how should I say, very generous community. So we don't really kind of like hoard clients, so to speak. So I enjoy doing this for other people and I have other kind of friends that have done this before with me as well. So if someone comes through our door, our goal is to get them the best help that they need, they want, they can get. So we send people out to other planners, for example, if we feel like, okay, hey, that you are not fitting in the typical clients that I serve. I fear that there are advanced topics that I'm not going to be able to help you as well as Andy. Please go to Andy. I know that he's also a great person, great planner. Go to Andy. And then other people have said the same for me. So our goal is not to hoard you and try to put like a square into a circle. I don't, is that the saying? So you know what I mean, but our goal is trying to find the best help for you. So so we wouldn't pretend that I'm the perfect planner, I'm the best planner for everyone, because I'm not. So when that's the case, we always try to find the best care, the best place for you. So yeah.
I love that framing, because where else are you going to find communities like this where like advisors are like really like, hey, now I want to make sure that you're going to get the person that's right for your situation. And I get to see it all the time. Actually, one of my favorite clients right now, I was referred to from another advisor who was like, I'm not as versed on the details of incentive stock options and some of those nuances, even though they had initially reached out to that person. So kind of of these kind of communities, like what drew you to kind of core particularly, and like kind of what surprised you so far?
Yeah. So in 2021, when I was looking, I was actually trying to be a parent planner at first, because I know I have a lot of, if you think about the knowledge of being a financial, planner, financial advisor, I have like one of them is investment. I have too much for being a financial advisor, but I have, I'm here to say I have not enough of a lot of other things, so I know there's knowledge gap and I need to kind of bring a bridge. So I did, that's why I did the CFP program. That's how I was spent a ton of time. The first year it was the client flow was really slow, which was a great time for me to actually get caught up to speed on all of these different places. Um, yeah, so sorry, what was the question again?
No, that was great. It's kind of like what drew you to core in particular. Kind of
Okay,
anything about that is kind of
yeah.
surprised you.
So for core, I just randomly actually saw this LinkedIn ad, like financial planner, and I clicked on it, and everything I was reading, I was like, yes, yes, yes. We own our own quote unquote books. Yes, we're a community that help take care of the stuff that I don't want to care about. Yes, we want to support each other. Yes, everything that was in the LinkedIn ad was like a fit. I was like, oh, this is really great. But also in the back of my head, being cynical person, being in financial industry for all this year, you learn to be a little bit more about like, maybe this is not, I'll believe it when I see it. So I reached out to Guy and I talked with the guy. I was like, this, Guy is so generous. Everything that he says he is and will be, what is the catch? So in the back of my head, because I reached out to a lot of other places at the same time also, and they talk about all of the stuff, and we have a phone call, and they're like, we want you to sell insurance, So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not what I want to do. So I just have gone through a lot of these conversations, in the end, like where there is the catch at the end. So I would just learn to expect the catch. So I was expecting the catch didn't come. I was feeling very anxious about where is the catch? The catch has to be somewhere. I don't see it yet, so where is it? And I have a conversation, I was also debating on starting my own practice, but I know I don't want to deal with compliance. I know I don't want to do all of that. And I love that I can have a place to plug in and just have already a set toolkit that I already can use, and making choices. I mean, you and I probably know for clients also, like making choices is actually really hard. You have to evaluate everything. You have to know the pros and cons and choose one for you. And then you always kind of like, did I make the right choice? You know, there's a lot of like regret and anxiety relating to making those big choices. And I love that I don't have to make a choice. The choices are made for me. Actually, to me, that was great. So, and I also love that like we're having a conversation that I I have a lot of ideas. So I was like, I want to be somewhere that I can also grow with. I
Hmm.
want to be somewhere that want to evolve. Because there are this space, the independent RA space, there are so many different innovations coming out every day.
Hmm.
And just being able to adapt and being able to just keep current. You know, we don't need to be the guinea pig for anyone, but being able to keep current, I think, is important. So it checked all of those boxes, and I never thought, like, you know, like I have the catch. So I was like, you know, can I talk to other people in the community? I mean, you sound great, a little bit too perfect. I want to talk to some other people that work with you. And funny enough, I was talking to other planners in the community. This is the same thing. Like, I just seem too good to be true, and so we kind of talked through all of that. And now he's very he's actually very generous. So I was like, okay, like let's do that. Let's do this. So and I 3 years in, it's definitely been a great journey so far. And Indy, you're here, so it's great.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. No, I appreciate all that. So now we've covered some ground on kind of the professional questions and that journey.
Mhm.
Now we're going to transition to maybe some more personal kind of questions.
Yeah.
And I know you might be like me where you like novelty and you have a lot of interests. So it's okay if I ask you a favorite question, feel free to just riff and tell me some of your favorites. That's totally fine too. I'm not going
All
to be a
right.
stickler here. So if you're looking to boost your mood or relax or focus, do you have any kind of different kinds of music that you like to listen to?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of different kind of music. And after discovering that I might have ADHD, I've never been diagnosed, by just all of the symptoms kind of link up. And I started trying to, especially as a being self-employed, the being disciplined
Mhm.
and being all of the stuff is really hard. And so I've been in doing a lot using music as a way to actually help me focus. So last year in Spotify, which is so funny, and I have the Spotify Wrap for 2024. My top song is Crab Rave. It's like a fast beat, fast beat kind of like I don't know how to describe it. There's no lyrics, but it's like a really happy, fast speed song that just keeps me focused. So I actually listen to a lot of that, like a lo-fi and like an instrumental EDM to keep
Mhm.
focus during my work. But outside of it, I honestly I listen to everything. I love music. My kids are playing piano now, so it kind of rekindled my interest in classical music. And I used to in my college. I was the singer at a band.
Oh,
In my college, so we sang a lot of kind of punk rock, ska, that type of music. My favorite was
nice.
No Doubt. We covered a lot of No Doubt songs. So yeah, so I love listening to them as well. But yeah, but I just, like you said, it's really hard to pick a favorite. Like they're just beautiful music everywhere. you know,
Right? It's a beautiful rainbow.
it's a beautiful rainbow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't listen to like a ton, like, and there's like different genres, and I don't listen to a ton of country songs. And so my friends we went to a bar and they have like the song Regnant Woman coming, and like I know the lyrics. I get every single line of it. There's she's like, how do you know this song? I'm just like, it's just a good song, you know? So there was just, yeah, yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. Yeah.
No, that's very much like I feel mine is too. Very much like I use music very specifically. Like, I've got music to like get me in a focus mood. I've got music that I do flow art activities with music where I'm just like chilling, and then it's all over the place, right? In terms of just for
Right.
personal enjoyment.
Yeah. I did get a vinyl record player
Hmm.
a couple, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And then we have some, really like nice records that, because like for right now, I'm like, I really have to love this whole record,
Mm-hmm.
to like get the whole album. It's not cheap. So we got the Fleetwood Mac. We got some Beatles, we got some Miles David, and just all sorts of different things. We got Amy Winehouse. Oh, I love Amy Winehouse. So yeah, it's just hard to pick.
Like, in a similar vein, if there are any kind of good books or movies that you've kind of read or watched lately that
Yeah,
stand out?
yeah. I what is the latest? I haven't watched a lot of movies lately. A lot of times going to theater is kind of a luxury when you have kids.
Hmm.
Just for watch like grown-up movies. I'm really looking forward to watching Wicked. I haven't watched Wicked yet. Really looking forward to that. But I would say one of my all-time favorite I do know is A House Moving Castle, or like a lot of the Studio Ghibli movie. It's like the whole movie is, sometimes I go with people and they're like, what is the movie about? So a lot of those movies are much more, I would say, like a feeling, a vibe, instead of a actual like a structured story. And
Mm.
I just find that to be very different, cathartic, and just beautiful. The music and the music, the drawings, the story. It's very, I don't know how to describe it. Some people might call it like a female gaze, like a very like a soft and very unstructured way. It's like I love a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies for that type of qualities. Yeah.
That's amusing that you say that. Like, literally just this last weekend, I was at it was like a Filipino debutante ball. I guess it's like a coming of age kind of ceremony.
Wow. Yeah.
And each table was themed with a different Studio Ghibli kind of movie. So there'd be like Howl's Moving Castle and Princess Mononoke. Each table was kind of themed. I don't remember which table I was at, but they each kind of
That's
had their own
so
theme.
fun. Oh my gosh, that is so fun. That sounds like a dream.
Did you get to visit the museum when you were in Japan?
I did not. It was a little bit far away because
Mhm.
because I have, we also have kids, so
Yeah.
we can't, like, sometimes you make
Hmm.
compromises. A
Absolutely.
lot of times you make compromises. I would love to go. I just know the experience would not be as good when I show up with the kids. They haven't watched a ton of Studio Ghibli movies. They're just like, this is so boring. What is going on? So yeah, so I'm just like, no, next time when they're a little bit older. But we are trying to get them. They have already watched My Neighbor Totoro. They watched House
Mm.
Moving Castle. They watched uh, that the movie with the fish. Um,
Mm.
oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The boy's name is Soski. I don't know if you remember, but
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, so the goldfish. It's bothering me. Goldfish. I have to. I have to.
We got to close the loop
Ponyo.
here now, right? We're
Ponyo.
invested.
Sorry. Okay, Ponyo. And then they already watched Ponyo.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I want them to actually, like, just age appropriate movies for them to watch all of those before we, make the trip to the Studio Museum.
Yeah, definitely traveling with kids is definitely definitely a different experience than traveling on your own for sure.
For sure.
So when let's say obviously maybe the kids affect this fight too, but if you have, let's say, guests coming over, or you're making a meal that you kind of want to share with folk, do you have any kind of go-to meals that you like to share with folk?
I do a lot of hot pots. I'm from
Mm,
Sichuan, which is like where like Sichuan hot pot is from. So you get like you normally do, and it's a very inclusive meal. Like everybody will be able to find something they love. It's always a treat. It's always so good. We're actually making that tomorrow because my daughter demanded it, and I couldn't do that on the weekday. So I'm like, Saturday, I'll make hot pot for you, which is one of my proudest achievement as a mom. You know, to hear my 6-year-old say that she wants hot pot. So, but we will have people come in, and it's also kind of like it. When I was growing up, when we don't really have parties, you know, we don't go party somewhere. You know, we go to hot pot together. You know, we will have the restaurants have these enclosed rooms for a group.
mm.
So we will go into these enclosed rooms, and then just me and my friends or like my family or whoever, and then we just be there for hours, you know. So it's a means to hang out. You hang out around food, which I think is a very common, you know, thing for a lot of different cultures.
Absolutely, love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So we go and then we just order food, and then the rounds and rounds of the food will come, and we'll kind of eat while we chat, while we drink. We do just have fun. And that's what I love about hot pot, you know, and it's always kind of, especially it's always like for people that love hot pot, I mean, like they always love hot pot, you know, like I don't say no to hot pot. I'll eat that like twice a day when I go back to China.
Nice.
Yeah, but and then for people that have not done hot pot, it's always such a spectacle to
Mm,
people. You know, you
hmm.
have this pot on the stove in the middle of the table that it's like the broth is boiling, and I have a pot where there's like a spicy side of broth and non-spicy side of broth. You can eat stuff, you know, you can pick different ingredients that you want to put in there, you know, and you kind of, you know, learn to different, you know, like you pass the stuff around. And it's always such a fun thing to do with people, you know. So I do a lot of hot pots. And you know, other than that, you know, I do like I love cooking. A guy was asking a question about food, and like my practice is super financial. Right? I love food, and yeah, I do a lot. And one of the comment, I didn't think much about it. One of the comment I got from a friend of mine is, "Wow, you are very brave." So what she meant by that is every time she comes to my house, I'm like, I saw this recipe. I wanted to try it. I've never
Mm.
made it before. And, you know, I just don't know if it's going to turn out well. You know, you are very brave. Fortunately, it hasn't had like any major disaster. But I remember she comes over, we made flan, and she's like, wow, you're very brave, just attempting that for the first time ever with guests. And I made like a Filipino, like a crispy skin pork
Ooh.
another time, you know, which is also like a big thing to do, like a labor of love, but which also was like really good. So yeah, so I just love trying out different foods. And I think that's another thing that I just really, I always want something interesting and new and, you know, to try out. There's like food is like music. They're just like, so much beautiful cuisine all over the world, everywhere. And yeah, I'm gonna try it all. I'm gonna try it all.
Definitely. Now you're making me hungry for hot pot. It's been a few years since I've had some hot pot, so I feel it's probably due.
Right. You can always come over, you know, in the summer, you know, when we have a core get together, maybe that's something we'll do.
May take you up on that. Speaking of core get-togethers, if core, let's say there's a pizza order at core. Where I know there's wars over pineapple on pizza. Where do you stand in the pizza wars? I have to get you on the record.
I I honestly I used to be like, ugh, you know, pineapple on pizza. But guess what? I recently changed my mind
Mm,
because who am I to say, you know, who am I to yuck somebody's yum?
hmm.
And I mean, if you like pineapple on pizza, you like pineapple on pizza. I mean, I am a like a margarita, like equal, like a margarita pizza and pepperoni pizza equal opportunity lover. Like I mean, and if you want some pineapple on it, just go right ahead, and honestly, if you like, so for me, that kind of equivalent um, comparison is Panda Express, right? Like people always kind of
Mm.
give crap about like it's not being, like a real Chinese food. But guess what? It was invented by Chinese immigrants. It was
Mhm.
actually invented by Chinese immigrants trying to cater to the US taste. And I thought it was very industrious. I'm like, if that's something you want, go right ahead. Who am I to, yak young? So yeah. So yeah, pineapple is
I'm actually with you in that. Like I was also like most of my life not a huge lover of pineapple on pizza, but I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago I tried it again and I was like, it was actually pretty good. Like
It's
sometimes
not
you just
bad.
your taste buds change. Like it's worth I think trying things every so often because you
Yeah,
never know. Maybe you'll just be in a different headspace or different receptiveness to a thing. Maybe you've changed. Maybe
yeah,
the food's served differently. Right? You never know. I feel
yeah.
it's always worth retrying things because you never know.
That's true. I do that with my kids, and that's
Mm,
how they start to build a little bit more diverse palette because they might not like something now. And then all of those like books tell you just keep offering.
mhm.
Their taste buds will change, and I tell them their taste bud will change. So they always keep an open mind. Um, and the first time I tried a similar thing, it's like a pineapple fried rice. I was like, what the heck is this? Why is there a pineapple in fried rice? And then, I mean, like after a couple of times, I'm like, I get it. I dig this. I like it. Just keep an open mind.
I love that. And, there's another one of those like, there's probably no such thing as like a perfect day. It probably varies, but like
Mhm.
what are kind of some things that you kind of like to have in your days or, a little bit about like different types of perfect days that might exist for you?
Yeah. My perfect day is probably like a plate of like a like a tapas,
Mm,
like a
mhm,
little bit of everything.
mhm,
So if I can just, wake up and find some time, probably early in the morning, to get my workout in. And then after that, have, some like a couple of hours of really like focused work. Um, like a flow state, really focused, deep work. And then go to lunch, go to a spot that's fun. There's a place called Menu, I think it's called Menu Ramen. I haven't get a chance to try it. It's apparently really good, but it's small place and it's just always have a wait. So I haven't gotten a chance to try that yet. So I would love to try that if in my perfect day. And have a couple of client meetings after that. I do always get very energized with the client meetings. So have a couple client meetings after that, and then start prepping for dinner, cook, and get the kids home, spend some time, just like have our family time, dinner time. And yeah, and after that just kind of like relax after the kids get to bed, hang out with them, read the book with them, and after the kids get to bed, just watch some TV, just relax, and kind of not think about other things. I think that sounds like a pretty cool day.
Oh, that's lovely. It does sound like a pretty great day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me here, Lei. I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I think this will conclude this session of Connect 4. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.